Hello again. This next video for the Reduce and Stop Suicide Ireland is around government and how the government could potentially help reduce and stop suicide. Probably the most controversial out of the whole lot. It's probably something that you probably haven't thought of, and maybe people in government haven't thought of before, or maybe it's not a priority to them. I don't know. It is controversial because there's so many divided opinions and ideals and I don't know, labels. You have so many labels when it comes to the people's understanding of politics and what it is, and so I'm really sorry, and I apologise first and foremost if this sounds like a rant, because yeah, it might be a little bit of a rant, because I'm fed up and sick of how the government treats people and then expects everybody and everything to be fine. And yes, the individuals, the families, the friends, and the community that we've already looked at has responsibility, but leadership comes from government, and they're them leading by example. So we, again, if anything comes up in this video that does upset you or you struggle with, please ask for help. You can contact our page if you have a problem with anything that we do say. If I say anything that's factually wrong, or please, you're welcome to correct me. But we want a community and a country that cares for its people and that is inclusive of people and respects each other. And like I said in the last video in relation to the community, the human problems can only be solved by humans. Simple. When you deprive somebody and you withhold something from somebody, well, how do you think they're going to behave? How are they going to feel? The buzzwords that go around, on national services as evidence-based practice. You'll hear people talking about it. Oh yeah, whatever we do needs to be evidence-based. But yet, the people who are in power are not evidencing the work that they're doing. Our evidence is very simple. There's 480 people taking their lives every year in Ireland, on average. And according to some statistics, for every one person that tries, up to 20 people, or for every person that dies by suicide, up to 20 people could be trying that. So do your maths. 400 people by 20, and then there's so many people in poverty, 1.2 million people in the country struggling, while a few people have all the wealth. We're looking at suggestions in relation to this and looking at the actual evidence, and people would either shrug their shoulders and say, I don't care, but the government needs to look at this as a priority, to really look at the actual evidence. Because there is a small percentage of people that look like that they believe that it's their right to control everything. That it's their belief that they're better than everybody else. That they know more than everybody else. That they work harder than everybody else. These people controlling these decisions are around our government, controlling the decisions that have been made. And I hate to say it, but indirectly is causing a lot of people unhappiness. They say it takes a community to build a person. What does it take to build a community? The government needs to build a community with culture and passion and values. The government has to lead by example. Now you think about what's happened. Even now, what date are we at? The 2nd of January 2021. Our government has just continued to give themselves raises and refused to give people on the ground much. They give them the scraps. And that patronising claps and words and ticking boxes is just not good enough. These messages of hope and are lovely, but we need evidence. We need action for change. The pandemic has showed that you can do something about when you're at threat, when something's affecting you. Decisions can be made very, very quickly, very, very quickly. But then it is an example. The pandemic has also been an example that we're not following best practice. We talk about evidence-based practice. When we see in the likes of New Zealand and Australia and all these people doing these things, what do? We follow the English models and the American models. Again, I can only guess that it's financially driven. We're following people that are getting it all wrong. We need to break down the profile of people who are struggling in their lives, that are potentially at risk of suicide. We need to look at investing. Surely we need to look at investing our money properly and stop making the big mistakes and wasting taxpayers' money, and investing into businesses and banks and really looking at taking ownership of our own country, instead of just pumping all our money into privatization and constantly wasting and giving private developers our money, and then they're getting the land that is Irish land for pittance and controlling the country. Then this way is not working. We need to make decisions. Irish people need to make better decisions about Ireland, the land that's in it, the people that's in it, and work together. Stop ignoring and dodging these problems that are causing suicide. Action is required. Address the problems of poverty. And yes, I understand the importance of economy, but do you understand the importance of human beings? If we don't address the poverty problem, and you see, you think about it, that's never been tried. Like I'll welcome if we try it and it doesn't work. We could all turn around and say, sure, that's a load of crap. But I do know that if I don't have any problems or difficulties or around finances, the stress that I have gets less and less, because I know that I've got security. Security and well-being and self-esteem is at the heart of that. Whereas all I can see is just waste. 130 billion tonnes of food wasted every year in the world. The dinosaurs did that. Dinosaurs were that stupid that they just kept on eating and kept on eating and kept on eating. At some point we have to stop and stand still and ask ourselves, are we doing right here? Because to me, the elite, or the so-called elite people, are creating goals that are almost impossible for people. And all you're doing then when you do that is dividing and controlling the population and creating laws to protect yourselves and future generations of your families and people that are willing to go and toe the line. But all you're doing is ignoring the majority of people in the country, the ordinary person, the people who are happy to be ordinary Irish people who just want to look after each other. These people, just the people on the ground who can't compete then, people in poverty, you can't compete. If you know, the people who have nothing can't compete with people who have something. It's not rocket science. Disabled people, people who don't have a home, homeless people, and people who are having trouble with housings and rents, and unhealthy people, unemployed people, leads to unhappy people. We need to have a targeted approach incorporating multidisciplinary strategic plans which aim to eradicate mental health problems. Prevention is always better than cure. You need to lead on this. The government needs to lead on this. Actions speak louder than words. Because it looks like you don't care. It looks like people's well-being in the country is not a priority of yours. I'm sorry, but that's what it looks like. The well-being of Ireland is not a priority for our government. This needs to come from government. Society can only do so much. Another patronising thing you hear, you know, and I've been accused of it, your heart is in the right place. This annoys me. What do you mean my heart is in the right place? What, because I'm passionate? And, you know, there's so many people who've been accused of that. Yeah, don't mind him, his heart is in the right place. Don't patronise people who are trying to actually make this country a better place to live in, trying to care for each other, who are trying to say hello and involve people in things. But you, the government, have a choice. You can be remembered for making a difference, or you can be remembered for just going along and just continuing to look after yourself. That's your choice. But evaluating your policies, like, I mean, housing policies and your health care, like, these are things that I'm not talking about anything that people don't already know about. But the majority of people on the ground feel helpless in relation to all this. This needs to come from you. People don't want charity. They want hope. They want fairness. They want chances. They want opportunities to be able to live their lives and look after their families. As I would have said before in a previous video, you give a man a fish and he'll eat for a day. But if you teach a man how to fish, he will eat for the rest of his life. That has to come down to the government. The government, the politicians, you were there to create an environment for the people of the country. And it's about time that we really start targeting people's well-being in this country, instead of just all the time looking at money, money, money. Yes, we do need finances. We need to have a good, healthy economy. We have people who are very skilled, but at the expense of people who are on the ground. The next time you're walking around, if you do walk around the streets, talk to the people who are homeless. The people who are homeless and are good people. They're brothers, they're sisters, they're mothers, they're fathers, they're friends, they're sons, they're daughters, in a country that you're supposed to be leading on. Whereas our focuses are in banks and finances. But you'll always get what you focus on. If that's what to focus on, if that's what you're focusing on, that's what you're going to get. We had our Taoiseach saying that the taxpayer didn't bail out the banks. How disrespectful and insulting is that? I don't know too many people that agree that this is okay, treating each other like this. We need to encourage people to employ people who've made mistakes in the past, who are struggling with these problems, whether it's mental health or somebody who might have went down the wrong road. We need to look at young men in particular. Christ, oh fucking mighty. Like, all the research will tell you that young men are taking their own lives more and more and more. What's there? Courses. Small courses here or there. We need to teach them skills. We need to help them stand on their own 2 feet, while also creating an environment where we're going to pay people proper wages, that they're able to look after themselves, and giving people who contribute to society benefits and supports and finances, and making it worthwhile and safe for people who work in this country. All you're doing is cutting from everywhere, where the army, the health schools, communities, employments, and facilitating private companies rather than looking at publicly owned opportunities. Are we mad? Are we insane to think that this? Am I insane to think that this is the way forward? These places are places that we can help people get involved and make this country a better place, a stronger place. I live around the Curragh camp in Kildare, an army base, and all the government has done has deprived it and treated it like crap. And it's like a ghost town now. How you treat something, if you plant something and you don't look after it, it's not going to blossom, it's not going to get stronger. Everybody is at risk when it comes to suicide, and it comes to the feelings of self-worth and depression and anxiety and panic attacks and all these problems that are leading people down a road that they really don't want to be going down. We need to evaluate what we're doing and change our strategies to suit them. And look to improve people's lives. What's the worst that can happen? Services are great to fix cracks, but prevention will always be better in the long run. And please stop looking at just your 4-year tender. And look longer than that. Make a real difference to this country. And we need to stop comparing ourselves to other countries that are going down the wrong road as well. We can actually lead by example, like we did with the smoking ban. Guide the people that you govern. Provide opportunities and services that are going to help people with their skills, their interests. And like I said, young men in particular, but also young women and children of Ireland. This is not something that we're making up. 480 people are taking their own lives every year. So courage is needed from this government to do something and change it, to look at what's right for the majority of people. We can't continue to treat people like apples in a barrel and then blame the rotten ones when they're rotten. We just can't continue to do this. We really should be ashamed of what we're doing here. Surely it's time for Ireland to make changes. Surely it's about time that we lead by example and really, bring out the good that's in Ireland. Being Irish is something that's so proud. We're all so proud to be Irish, and when we go in different places, but this could be even better. Let's address this massive problem of suicide. You need to put plans in place, and actions is a must, but it has to come from government. It has to come from policy changes. We need to push that we look after people, because pushing people further into despair and creating unrealistic goals and making them feel crap and worthless is contributing to society, whether you like to hear it or not. We need to have a more fair society, which will have less crime, less people in prisons, less people struggling with mental health and hospitals or suicides. Prevention is always better than cure, and long-term vision is needed to fix this problem. People say you can't fix these problems. I don't agree. We need to be working at putting people first. There's a lot wrong internally in this country, and our government needs to lead by example. Because there's certain people in our community that feel like there's no hope, and the best thing they can do is actually take their own life and leave this world. That has to be wrong. To me, it's very simple. If you treat people like crap, they'll behave like crap. So our government needs to get the finger out and start putting real action and policy change in place.